labor. That would have been an absolutely honorable and legitimate thing to say.
Well, I'm a citizen, too. I'm a flag-waving hippie like Jerry Garcia. I'm a citizen, and I think that as a citizen we have duties, too. And if everybody helped out a little bit when they had a chance, life would be much easier. I've helped out twice in my life. Once when a friend of mine got murdered. I helped a guy named Brian Williams, and if you Google his name and mine, you'll find this story. A friend of mine was murdered. I helped the feds bring the murderer to justice, and it was my honor to help them bring the murderer to justice. And I helped them back 2005 to 2010 take down Wall Street. And both catching my friend's murderer and taking on Wall Street were consistent with my values, and it was my honor to help the men in black then. And it was just this third time they came to me, and I got some requests. I didn't know who the hell it came from, and it was fishy. And 3 years later, I'm watching television, and I realized who it was. It was Peter Strzok and Andy McCabe, and that's who these orders came from.
By the way, just to make clear, that's not a Make America Great hat exactly, is it?
No, it isn't. What is it?
Make America Grateful Again, correct?
Right, with a Grateful Dead Steely.
Okay.
Look, when you see these lights or so.
Yeah.
Right.
Patrick,
Jonathan, go ahead.
Patrick, very briefly, it's Jonathan Honig. Thank you for being with us. I think to Zach's point, you were CEO of a publicly traded company. You started the company. It's hard to see how some of this didn't have some impact on shares. I know there was a Deep Capture, which is a website that you were involved with that had some legal troubles. This might sound a little curt.
It lost a suit in Canada. It lost a lawsuit in Canada. You're a journalist. You're supposed to defend the First Amendment. I didn't even have to do that. I have the same journalistic protections as the laws protect you. I didn't even have simply to fight for free speech. I took that case on in Canada. You're a journalist. You should stand up for me on something like that.
Well, let me ask you just briefly, because you were, as the CEO, the person who started the company, this might sound a little curt, but how does it feel to see the stock rally when you step down?
Look, well, there's this very odd, I feel great about it. Because not only am I a shareholder now, and as a shareholder, I think I can actually tell you, given that what I've done, I don't think there's anything unethical about me saying this. Given what I've done, I didn't choose this fight. I'm doing it. If you want to help me, go buy your daughter a rug at Overstock.com. If you want to help me out, because the entirety of Washington, D.C., even though I've left the company, is going to be coming after who the heck knows. What's your question? It seems silly to me. You're a journalist. You should be smarter and stand for principles more than that question illustrated. Of course you have duties as a citizen, even when you're CEO. I never involved the company in anything. The company is completely unrelated. I have, extracurricular activities. I skydive, I surf, and twice in my life, when a friend of mine got murdered and when a bunch of goons on Wall Street, I figured out what they were doing. I helped the federal government take them down. And when they told me that they needed my help with this, and I thought I was helping with legitimate law enforcement, I helped them. It turns out I was a tool in a game of political espionage. I didn't know that. I only figured it out last summer. I thought that I was doing something legitimate, and a tiny little thing on the side that took me a little bit of time away from the office. And it turns out it was political espionage. I only figured it out a year ago.
Yeah, Patrick.
And by the way, for those who don't know, hold on a second, guys.
Who was asking that question? What's the name of that fool?
That was Jonathan Honig. But let me just say, hold on a second. Let me just say before things get too out of control here, that Patrick Byrne is one person who has never focused on the day-to-day movement of his stock because he realizes how mercurial that stock movement can be. So, Patrick, in defense of your stand with regard to the stock, that's a long-standing one. But what happens now with regard to the whole blockchain that you have brought into Overstock as a part of Overstock? I know that you feel that that's a mission of yours. Where does that go from here?
Oh, that's great. I've had an idea that this is probably coming since last July, since I put the jigsaw together. I didn't see there was any way that something like this would, let's say, likely happen someday. Who the heck knows? I've been preparing very carefully. These companies, are some of these companies, if they existed before we started them, it's just like some young guys, some Java monkeys with a blockchain idea. Hey, let's build a blockchain central bank. and it's like the show Silicon Valley. If you're ever sitting in it's like a bunch of guys like that. We would show up, provide capital, professionalize them, turn them real. Those companies now, they have boards of directors, they have capital, they're all over the world, they're solid companies, and we have this tremendous reservoir of blockchain talent back in Utah, right here in Utah, that sort of services all the other parts of the network. So it's really and John, the guy really who built this, I was maybe the blueprint, the draftsman, Jonathan Johnson, who was this great colleague of mine for 17 years, has built that and fleshed it in and has done a great job. He's becoming CEO, and he's super capable.
Well, and it's an extraordinary idea, and I know both you and I think that there is something to this that may actually undermine some of the central bank nonsense that we're seeing go on right now. So
you know what Sowell said about central banks?
We have to run. We have to have you back, Patrick. Please come back and see us again. All right.
I'm laying low.
All right. Well, when you stick your head up again, we'd love to have you on. Okay.
Take care, sir. Thanks for having me on all this time. Bye-bye.
An incredible man in the history of business in the United States. Meanwhile, it seems Jeffrey Epstein took steps to block dozens of his